LSU run rules Nicholls, and William Schmidt makes his first career start. We're recapping it. Locked on LSU. Let's go.
You are Locked on LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, let's get it. It is Locked on LSU, your team every day. I'm your host, Matt Moscona. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. We are free, available wherever you get podcasts, of course, on YouTube as well. So please subscribe. As always, one of the fastest ways to help us grow is by leaving your comments below. Live reaction show, as we promised to do here for as many of these LSU baseball games all season long as we can. LSU run rules Nicholls on a Monday night, 13-3. William Schmidt made his first career start. Bear Jones homered, Stephen Milam homered, and the Tigers, which found themselves behind early, quickly turned that around into a big lead that they would never relinquish. And we got to see a lot of guys out of the bullpen, but I'll beat you to the punch. We did not see Gavin Guidry, which I'm sure are going to make up half the comments. Hey, thank you so much for being here with us live. If you are live, just a precursor of how we kind of do this. I'll run through my takeaways from the game. I'll hit my first quick break, come back, and I'll get to your questions and comments. So as you join us, please drop your questions and comments in the chat, and we'll get to them here in just a quick second. So let's start, if we could, with how the game started. I guess we can just go sort of chronologically. William Schmidt, we found out, was making his first career start, and he found himself in an early hole. Unfortunately for the way this played out, because he pitched really well. On the day, the Tigers out-hit Nicholls 10-6. They won 13-3. Nicholls did commit 2 errors, just 1 error for LSU. But in the top of the first inning, on a full count, Schmidt gives up the single up the middle, and then a first pitch single to the next hitter. So just like that, boom, boom, it's first and second with nobody out. Schmidt comes back and gets the 2-2 strikeout, so he rallies. This is where his defense really didn't do him well. There was a ground ball to third, and Tanner Reeves was starting for Michael Braswell again, and he kicked it. He just booted it off the heel of his glove, couldn't make the throw. And so now, instead of what would have been, I guess, in that situation, second and third with 2 outs. Now you get the bases loaded with 1 out. Schmidt gets the fly ball, but the run scores because the bases were loaded. And then ultimately he gets the ground out, the fielder's choice ground out. So he gets out of it with just the 1 run. But again, it's a situation where, but for the error by Reeves, Schmidt would have pitched around, given up the singles right away. After that, I thought Schmidt really hit his groove. On the night, Schmidt's final line, he goes 4 2/3. He allowed 2 runs on 5 hits, struck out 3. He did not walk anybody. The other thing that was a bit concerning, and it's one of those things where on the scorecard, you're going to see 3 wild pitches by Schmidt, which is how the next run scored. And it was all to the same hitter. But it's really hard to look at that, because if you didn't see it in the 5th, Schmidt starts the inning with a strikeout, then gives up a single to center, and then that runner, Irvin, on 3 straight wild pitches, came home to score. Then he got fly out, and then after the fly out, Primo came in, walk, single, and then a ground out as Primo finished the inning. So Schmidt went 4 2/3. But the wild pitches are the thing that kind of underscore what's my biggest concern for this team right now, and it's the catcher spot, because you're not good defensively at catcher. Aaron Beatty started the game. After that, by the way, after that inning, Hernandez replaced Aaron Beatty and caught the remainder of the game. And I understand that it scored a wild pitch, and I'm not saying it's an easy play to make, but in particular, the third one where the run scored, that's a play on a breaking ball where the catcher has got to make that play, because especially with a guy like Schmidt, William Schmidt's most effective pitch, while he can throw a 96, 97 mile an hour fastball, his most effective pitch is his curveball. he has a big league spin rate on his breaking ball. So his curveball is his plus pitch. And you saw this in this game where Schmidt can throw that curveball for a strike, but you've got to be able to bury the hammer 58 feet. Because if you just throw the breaking ball for a strike, then every time a hitter is sitting breaking ball, they know it's coming over the plate. They can swing and they can square you up. You've got to be able to show the ability to throw that pitch for a strike, but also to throw it 58 feet and bury it if you need to. That's what made, I use this example all the time, it's what made Alex Lang and Michael Papierski so successful. Lang's hammer was his plus pitch, but Pap was a brick wall behind home plate. So if Lang wanted to snap that off at the knees for a strike, he could do it. But if he wanted to bury it 58 feet and make you swing over the top of it, he could do it confidently because he knew Pap was going to block it up. You don't have that ability right now. And that's the really unfortunate part behind the plate. So I don't know what the answer is. I think Hernandez very clearly right now it's very clear that Hernandez is emerging as your best option right now. Aaron Beatty long-term may be the better option, but Hernandez has shown the ability to hit. He's got 600 career at-bats, and defensively, he's just been a little better. Or I should say it is that Aaron Beatty hasn't been good enough defensively to justify taking those reps away right now. So all in all, though, for William Schmidt, he got you 4 2/3, a nice start. Worked around the early trouble and then threw up, zeros in the second, third, and fourth when LSU started building their big lead. After Schmidt, as we mentioned, Primo finished the fifth, got 2 outs in the sixth. Newt finished that inning, and then Maverick Rizzi came and finished the seventh. It was pretty effective in doing so. He faced 3 hitters. He did hit a batter, but got a big strikeout as well. Offensively for LSU, this was a really fun game to watch because this was a day where LSU capitalized on big opportunities when they had them. And interestingly enough, after they fell behind 1-0 in the first inning, it was so weird to see how this first inning played out because right away, the starting pitcher from Nicholls, the first 8 pitches he threw were strikes. He gets Reeves on an 0-2 pitch to fly out. He strikes out Curiel on 3 pitches. So just like that, 8 pitches into the game, and they've all been strikes. And then he walks Jared Jones on 4 pitches. And I don't blame him. All right. Like, there's nobody on base. There's just no sense in throwing anything near the plate to Jared Jones. So they walk him on 4 pitches. And then the first pitch to Josh Pearson, he hits him. So you go from cruising 2 outs to now walk on 4 pitches, hit by pitch. Now you got to deal with Danny Dickinson, and he singles to left on the first pitch of the AB. That's the kind of AB that you've got to have behind Jared Jones. And I'm going to keep saying this over and over and over and over again to illustrate the point. Because the example that we used all in 2023 was Tommy White hitting behind Dylan Cruz. Fine. You want to walk Dylan Cruz? Okay. You want to pitch around the best player in college baseball? Fine. But you got to deal with Tommy White. And time and again, Tommy White made teams pay for pitching around Dylan Cruz. Guys like Dickinson hitting behind Jared Jones have got to make teams pay for pitching around Jared Jones. Fine. 2 outs, nobody on base. You want to unintentionally or intentionally walk Jared Jones? Okay. Well, then guess what? You hit Josh Pearson, Dickinson's up, singles to left. Now the game's tied. And then Larson walked, and then Aaron Beatty walked with the bases loaded. And then how about Monster Milam in his day? Again, this 2-out rally continued. He gets the 2 RBI single up the middle, and now you've got the big inning because Stephen Milam came through in a big spot. And that wasn't the only time in this game that Milam would come through in a big spot. So just like that, boom, it's 4-1 LSU. You bat around in the first. Jones came up in the second with 2 outs, and they pitched to him this time, and he makes him pay. He hits one off the scoreboard. So now you're up 5-1, and the Tigers never really looked back. The big inning was in the 5th when they put up a 5 spot, and this was the inning where Dickinson led off with a hit by pitch. Ethan Fry struck out, Aaron Beatty walked, and then Stephen Milam hit the homer to left field. Again, another giant AB there by Monster Milam, who after a slow opening weekend of the season now has really found his groove again. So Milam with a big day for the Tigers. They'd had a couple more in that inning when Curiel singled. He got Curiel after just absolutely mashing a ball to left center, and the left fielder made just a beautiful running catch on the play, just a hat tip for a great defensive play. Curio got some good baseball fortune on a tapper that went off the pitcher's glove and found some no man's land near second base. So he singled there and a run came home. And then Bear Jones, with Ducks on the Pond, showed his maturity as a hitter by just punching one into right center and getting another RBI. So all that to say, LSU offensively found a lot of different ways to manufacture runs. In the first inning, they did it with the benefit of walks and hit by pitch, and then an RBI single. You saw the big homer by Jones, the big homer by Milam. With runners on base, you saw him draw a bases loaded walk, the big hit there by Jared Jones. And then the walk-off was actually on a wild pitch. So LSU got a lot of guys into this ball game in just 7 innings, but 13 runs on 10 hits, and they were really effective as well. The Tiger hitters walked 7 times in this ball game. They drew 4 hit by pitch as well. So they were given 11 base runners, and they made Nicholls pay. So all things considered, a nice day at the box. We did not see Gavin Guidry, which I'm sure you're going to ask about. So we could talk about that as we continue. So the Tigers get the win, run rule over Nicholls, and now they'll travel on Tuesday. Wednesday, they'll play a ranked opponent for the first time this year, Dallas Baptist, in Arlington at Globe Life Field. Before Thursday, they head up to Round Rock, and then they'll play their 3-game series in the Round Rock Classic. Okay, let me knock out my quick break. We'll come back to your questions. So drop your questions or comments in the chat live here on YouTube, and we'll get to you as we continue Locked on LSU, your team every day. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or you want to bet on a fourth-quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether you're backing your favorite team for a late-game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch 3, you never feel like you miss your chance. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Today's show is also brought to you by PrizePicks. March basketball is here, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with PrizePicks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With PrizePicks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. It's fast, easy, and keeps every game exciting. You can build your own lineups. It's quick and easy. Love it. You can make your picks literally in less than 60 seconds. And quite honestly, I get a notification every day reminding me to make my picks. And when I win, money hits my account in as little as 15 minutes. There's no waiting around. And PrizePicks offers weekly promos like Taco Tuesday, where you get discounted player projections for even more value. So download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Okay, let's get to you. If you are listening or watching on demand, thank you so much. A reminder that we are going live after each LSU baseball game on the Locked on LSU YouTube channel. So please feel free to join us, and we'd love to get your comments in. We appreciate you for being with us. Brian Penton said, good first outing for William Schmidt. It was a good first start. This wasn't Schmidt's first outing of the season, but it was his first start. Love the fact that he went 4 2/3, showed the ability to extend. He battled through traffic on the bases at times. 60 pitches, 46 of his 60 pitches were strikes for William Schmidt. So a very effective day for William Schmidt. Randall Travis, hashtag justice for Guidry. I am surprised we did not see Gavin Guidry in this ballgame. I am genuinely surprised now. And went back and played the audio from Jay Johnson when he met with reporters on Thursday. And if you missed it, he was asked point blank if Gavin Guidry was going to pitch Wednesday against Nicholls. And Jay Johnson said, yes, he was going to throw. So the plan was for Guidry to pitch Wednesday against Nicholls. The follow-up was, so does that mean he'll pitch Monday? And Jay Johnson said, not exactly. We're going to play it game by game and see how it goes. So you didn't have an opportunity for him to get in the weekend. He didn't pitch on Monday. So I don't know what really they're waiting for at this point to get Gavin Guidry in the game. I don't think it's a big deal. At this point, I'm more just curious why we haven't seen Gavin Guidry throw, because there's opportunities to start. Now, Caleb Landry said Guidry's probably going to start Wednesday against Dallas Baptist. He might. But I'll tell you this. Caleb. My assumption would have been that they would start Connor Ware. I have no problem telling you this, that in the conversations I've had, this coaching staff loves Connor Ware. And the feeling is that if one of the guys currently in the starting rotation that we've seen, Anderson, Ianson, Shores, if any one of those guys wobbled, that Connor Ware would be the next guy up into the rotation. Now, look, there's a lot of baseball to be played and a lot of innings to be pitched and all. So my thought would be, just knowing that if the hashtags are great, hashtag the search for Gavin. The thought being, you're playing Dallas Baptist. This is a ranked opponent in a big league ballpark. Let's give Connor Ware that opportunity to see how he does in that setting. But I thought Gavin Guidry was going to start this game against Nicholls. So the fact that he didn't, who knows? I'm sure I'll ask around and I'll find out on Wednesday morning or early afternoon, whenever Jay makes that decision, who he's going to start. But it is a little odd. Chico Lynch, my opinion, team doesn't seem like they're having fun out there. I could not disagree with that more. Chico. They have this goofy thumbs up thing they do when guys get to first base. When Jared Jones anybody steals second, they do the little walking fingers emoji from the dugout, or motion from the dugout. The celebration after the walk-off win, I don't know that I could disagree with that anymore. When William Schmidt went into the dugout after his second inning of work, he had celebrations with several of his teammates. One of them, they did a jump chest bump. I think if you think they're not having fun, you're just not paying close enough attention to those things. I think this team has all the makings of good chemistry that will continue to build. There's a lot of new players on this team, but they've all been together since the fall. So I don't know that I could disagree with that anymore. Dale Broussard barely leads the team in home runs and stolen bases. If that's not evidence, listen, I'm not at the game, obviously, but the next time I have an opportunity to talk to Jay Johnson, I want to ask him about the guys stealing, because this has not been a giant part of Jay Johnson's first 3 years in Baton Rouge, being aggressiveness on the base paths. And a lot of that is you don't want to run yourself into outs. But something Jay has said is he feels like they have great athletes and they want to put pressure on a defense. Fine. I'm good with that. If Derek Curiel reads the ball in the dirt and wants to take off, go. Okay. Chris Stanfield, great speed. Fine. I'm surprised to see Jared Jones stealing bases. That's because that is not his game. And he is not the most fleet of foot at 6'4" and 250 pounds. So that does surprise me a bit. Cameron said, why is Gavin not thrown? I don't know. Seth, I understand Jay knows what he has in Guidry, still needs to get some innings, and eventually, I guess we'll find out Wednesday. Yeah. Again, we're doing this immediately after the game, so we're not hearing Jay Johnson's post-game comments. I'm sure he's going to be asked about Gavin Guidry not throwing. Maybe it's a thing that he would have been the next one up. I don't know. Like, I could walk you through the situation and go, I understand why Gavin Guidry wasn't the first out of the bullpen, because William Schmidt was in the ballgame. His last out was the righty that he got to fly out. The next hitter up was a lefty, and they went to DJ Primo to go lefty-lefty. So Primo was next up. After that, they went to Maverick Rizzi, a righty. Okay, that in theory, that could have been Guidry in that spot, but they didn't go there. So I'm sure Jay Johnson has a plan. He is as meticulous and detail-oriented a coach as I have ever seen. So I'm quite certain he knows his plan. I'm also quite certain he's not telling us his plan. Randall said, Scone, is it time to maybe move Curiel down in the lineup? Why? Coming into this ball game tonight, Derek Curiel is your leading hitter. I don't understand why you're saying move him down. At this point in the season, I'm refreshing the number. Curiel came into this game tonight hitting .440 with an on-base percentage of .548. Not only does he have 11 hits in 25 at-bats, but he's also walked 5 times coming into this game, which was second on the team only behind Jared Jones. So, no, I think that Derek Curiel has acquitted himself quite nicely and is doing just fine there in the 2-hole. And if he can continue to manage that, then continue to do that. He was 1 for 4 tonight with 2 strikeouts, and that's not great. But he came into this game as your leading hitter and second only to Jones in walks with an on-base percentage approaching .600. So, no, I think he's doing just fine. Okay, there you go. Thank you very much. I appreciate this. So Jay said Guidry's dealing with a non-throwing injury. Again, I did not hear the post-game comments, but I will take your word for it. But that makes a lot more sense if we're not why we haven't seen Gavin Guidry up until this point. Trivia Carter, hello. John Olds on the broadcast. Jumbo mentioned Guidry would be healthy enough to pitch against Dallas Baptist. I heard him say that, but again, I don't know if he was guessing or whatever the case may be. But if you're listening to Jay in the post game and someone said that, and I'm taking your word for it, that would make sense. Christopher, is the catcher still TBD? I addressed it a little bit in my opening comments for those who maybe are just joining us now live, but Aaron Beatty allowing 3 balls consecutively to get by him with Schmidt on the mound that allowed a run to score is a gigantic concern. I know they were ruled wild pitches, but in particular, the last one that allowed the run to score, he turned his glove toward the ball in a moment where he should have slid in front of the ball. It's just a problem. And listen, I'm a guy that for the last 4 years beat the drum praising Alex Milazzo for as good as he was a defensive catcher. And a lot of you didn't like that because Hayden Travinski mashed homers and had a cool mustache. And Milazzo got better with the bat as his career went along. But you see the value a lot of times in an elite catcher and things that don't show up in the scoreboard, in the box score. The ability to be still behind the plate, receiving the ball. I've had pitchers tell me in a given game, a catcher who is an excellent receiver behind the plate could steal maybe 8 pitches. I mean, that could be the difference in a pitcher lasting another inning, in getting a called third strike on a full count instead of a walk. I mean, those are the types of things that often go unnoticed. But right now, this team's lacking. And if I had, if LSU had to go win a game today, I don't think there's any question that Luis Hernandez would be the starting catcher. Aaron Beatty just hasn't shown you enough offensively and defensively. It's just not ready yet. Okay, please smash the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel. Thanks for being here with us. Trey Willis said, Reeves, 2 straight starts over Braswell. John Pearson pitch hitting against the lefty over Braswell. Yeah, I think the next thing we'd probably see is John Pearson getting a start at third base. But the problem that Reeves had was the defensive miscues, and in particular the error in the first inning. It was a ground ball with runners at first and second. It was a ground ball to third. It kicked off the heel of his glove. He booted it. And then to have the type of day he did offensively as well, Reeves in the leadoff spot was 0 for 2. You get the opportunity, you got to make the most of it. And I will say it was nice to see Braswell get a base knock late in the game. We know Braswell can hit. He was one of your most consistent hitters a year ago. He hit over 300. But he's been fighting at the start of the season. He was 3 for his first 17. And sometimes it takes one to get going. And Braswell, it was a really nice piece of hitting. He just poked the ball into right center. And sometimes you just got to see one land. You just got to see it land, safely to to get going. So maybe that'll be it for Braswell. Look, you're playing a ranked team at a big league park on Wednesday. I'd be surprised if that wasn't Braswell at third starting. But if someone's the next replacement, maybe it's John Peterson in that spot. Caleb said, if Milam gets hit, do you think he takes the leadoff spot? If he gets hit. Hot. Okay, I'm sorry. If he gets hot. I don't know that that's the case. They looked really good opening weekend with Stanfield, Curiel, Jones, 1, 2, 3. And if Curiel keeps hitting the way he is, then that also allows you to put guys like Josh Pearson and Danny Dickinson behind Jones to give him protection in the lineup. I understand the desire to have Milam at the top because he was so good a year ago. But if you can put a guy like Milam in the bottom third of your lineup, that makes you dangerous 1 through 9. There's no exhale spot because then Milam's up at the bottom of the order, and then you're turning your lineup over for the table setters for Jones. So I think sometimes in our brain, we just program ourselves to think, oh, the best players have to hit at the top of the lineup. But that really only matters at the beginning of the game because at any other point, you could effectively have multiple leadoff hitters. We saw Paul Maneri do this in 2017 with Cole Freeman. Cole Freeman hit ninth, Kramer hit first. So you basically had back-to-back leadoff hitters. So every time you turn your lineup over, it's like having back-to-back leadoff hitters. I think that's great. A great option. If you can swing it and you keep getting production at the top of your lineup, like you have with Stanfield and Curiel and Jones, 1, 2, 3, then I think having Milam down in the 8-hole, look, one thing's for sure. You're betting in the 8-hole, you're going to see a ton of fastballs. And Milam certainly made them pay in this game. Milam's line on the night was he was 2 for 3 with 5 RBI. So yeah, give me that guy. Seeing fastballs at the bottom of the lineup. Michael said, not to worry. Jay is not set the starting lineup. Be patient. If he starts SEC play, falls apart, then you can worry. I'm not worrying. Just to be clear, maybe that's for listeners. It ain't for me. You're not going to see me worry 8 games into a season about much of anything. But I do think catcher clearly identified is the biggest problem they have right now. A couple more here. Richard said, I like keeping hitters at the bottom to flip the lineup over, but love Milam hitting second. Listen, if you wanted to flip Milam and Curiel, you could. But I do like having Milam's power in the 8-hole. Okay. I think that might just about do it for us here. Thanks so much for being here with us, y'all. Again, if you're watching live, do me a favor. Please smash that like button on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for making us your first listen every single day. If you're on podcast or catching this in on-demand video, thank you so much for being here as well. On podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Rate us, leave a review. And remember, we'll be back here live Wednesday after the LSU Dallas Baptist game goes final. So make this part of your routine. Just know that we'll be here after each LSU baseball game live on the Locked On LSU YouTube channel. Of course, we'll get the show uploaded on all the platforms as well. We will still have our regular episode on Tuesday morning. So be sure to check out and be here to check that out. Okay, that'll do it for us here. Y'all have a great night. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. And be sure to let a friend know that if they love the Tigers. We got you here every single day for Locked On LSU, your team every day.